Hey guys, what's up? So a couple of months ago, I did a video about the M4 Pro Mac Mini, and in my opinion, this is easily Apple's most interesting product of 2024. But of course, the Mac Mini is just that, the Mac Mini. To get the most out of this little beast, you're gonna need some peripherals and accessories. So I went ahead and put together a list of my favorite accessories for the M4 Pro Mac Mini. Some of them are absolute must-haves, and I will also show you a couple of nice-to-haves as well. Things you don't necessarily need, but that make using the Mac Mini even more enjoyable. Let's ramble.
Hold up, things go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
So yeah, like I said, I absolutely love this thing. It is a fantastic bang for buck machine, and since it came out, I've been using it a lot in all kinds of different scenarios. Most recently in this dedicated setup for my business calls I put together. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one. Anyway, you're here for some useful accessories, so let's get started with this list. Starting off with some absolute essentials. These might seem obvious, and I guess they kind of are, but this list wouldn't make any sense without them. You're going to need some kind of monitor to hook up to this thing, and in my opinion, there is no better fit for a Mac computer than the Apple Studio display. Well, maybe the Pro Display XDR, but come on. Who can afford that thing? Now, I won't spend a lot of time on this display, you already know it very well, but yeah, these things are literally made to work great with Apple computers, and they do. It connects via one single Thunderbolt cable, and one of the advantages of using a Studio display is that it gives you 3 additional USB-C ports, as well as pretty decent speakers and microphones, and of course a built-in webcam. So while this is by no means a budget option, I do think those little extras soften the blow a little bit. I do have a really interesting and ultra portable alternative to the Studio display for you guys, which I will show you later on in the video. Obviously, you're going to need some peripherals, and for me, the Apple Magic Keyboard is still king, specifically this new option. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of really solid alternatives out there, and I'll be sure to put some solid ones in the description below the video, but there's a couple of reasons why I keep choosing these Magic Keyboards and why I'm choosing this one in particular. One, it's finally USB-C. I'm so happy to get rid of that stupid lightning cable, and this was one of the last products to make this switch. Secondly, this keyboard comes with Touch ID, which is right here, and I absolutely love that. I'm not wearing my Apple Watch as much anymore. That used to be the way for me to log into my computer. This is the next best thing. Because I have zero patience, so I always mess up having to type in my password, this is so much easier. And lastly, this one has a number pad, which really comes in handy for a lot of applications as well. Now, since I hate the Apple Magic Mouse with a passion, my mouse of choice is still the Logitech MX Master 3S for Mac. This is just the best mouse out there, full stop. It is super ergonomic, easy on the wrist, and the side scroll wheel is just amazing for things like video editing, which I happen to do a lot of. Now, I do use this in conjunction with this Apple Magic Trackpad. It's a habit I picked up while video editing, and now I'm kind of hooked on it, and I don't really know how to work without it anymore. I love that this comes in black too, so it matches the keyboard, and of course this also has USB-C. Now, this Mac Mini is also one of the main reasons why I started using my AirPods Max again. Like I said, the speakers on the Apple Studio display are surprisingly decent, but when I do want something more, I'll just grab my AirPods Max, which will of course connect instantly, and they sound really great. Plus, Apple just released a new update introducing wired and lossless audio via the USB-C cable. I was a little pissed off, to be honest, when the new AirPods Max came out, and literally all that changed was a little bit of the color and the addition of a USB-C port, but being able to use it wired now and without latency means I can actually use these things for video editing now, and that is a big win for me personally. Now, sorry if I keep going on about video editing. I know not everybody is a video editor, but there's plenty of applications where wired or lossless audio can come in handy, so I guess a lot of people will be very happy with this change. I did do a video about that a couple days ago, so definitely check that out if you want to know more about this. Now, before we move on to the more interesting and non-Apple accessories, a quick word from our sponsor, Clean My Mac, which is kind of an essential accessory in its own right. When you're in the market for a Mac Mini, chances are you don't need a fully spec'd out machine, and you're not really looking to spend an arm and a leg on storage either. So for me, it's super important to use the storage I do have as efficiently as possible. Clean My Mac is an essential tool for me to do exactly that, by quickly eliminating duplicates and by regularly cleaning up the system cache, development junk, and unnecessary files that can easily pile up and prevent essential updates. It keeps everything clean and organized. But it does much more than that. Because of the Mac Mini's tiny size, it's perfect to take with me on trips, but relying heavily on Wi-Fi during my trips does expose me to some risks. Clean My Mac helps me protect my Mac from malware and other unwanted intrusions intrusions by means of the Moonlock anti-malware engine. Clean My Mac has been my go-to for years because of how simple and effective it is. You really don't need to be an IT expert to use this app. The dashboard is super user-friendly and easy to navigate. What you see is what you get, and every action takes just a few clicks maximum. I usually start by running a single-click smart care, which gives me a clear overview of what can be done to clean up and optimize my Mac. It'll find junk files I can get rid of, runs a quick malware scan. I can then simply click run, and it will take care of everything automatically. But Clean My Mac also gives me the option to do a deep dive per section, so I can focus on cleanup protection or my clutter. Let's say I just use the hotel Wi-Fi. I don't necessarily need to run a full smart care, but I'm definitely going to want to run a quick scan for malware. I just head over to the protection section, click malware removal, and hit scan. I have it set to quick scan, so within seconds I'll have the peace of mind that my Mac is clean, so I can turn it off and feel good about it. Every couple of days or so at the end of the day, I'll set it to deep scan and let it do a thorough examination of the entire system, diving into every file and folder. It has become such a part of my travel routine that I can't remember the last time I ran into any real problems on my Mac. Oh, and the best thing is that I don't need to constantly open the app to check on things. The assistant will be there to give me helpful tips and instant fixes. So if you want to try out Clean My Mac for free for 7 days, click the link in the description below, and if you use the code Rambles, you'll get 20% off your purchase price. Right, so as you probably know, the Pro version of the Mac Mini comes with the new Thunderbolt 5 ports that are way faster than the Thunderbolt 4 ports, and some of my favorite accessories brands have not been sleeping on this. Cal-Digit very recently dropped their Element 5 hub, which basically expands one single Thunderbolt 5 port on your Mac Mini and turns it into 4 Thunderbolt 5 ports, offering speeds of up to 120 gigabits per second, 3 USB-A ports, and 2 USB-C ports, conveniently placed on the front, for easy access for things like charging. Oh, and in case you're wondering why I'm showing you the box and not the actual product, is because I stuck it to the bottom of a desk riser and I can't really get it off without really prying. Oh, and it can also drive 3 displays, which is great. I love these hubs because it does mean that I can place the Mac Mini wherever I want, on my desk, under my desk, far away from me, and I still have access to a bunch of ports, which is absolutely fantastic. Speaking of which, in that dedicated desk setup I put together for my business calls, I decided to mount the Mac Mini under my desk, and instead of buying a mount, I used my new 3D printer over there that was sent to me for review by the kind people of Bamboo Lab. Review coming soon, by the way, so if you're interested in that, definitely get subscribed. That would be much appreciated. But yeah, being able to just print whatever you need instead of buying it is pretty cool. I didn't even have to design it myself. I found a perfect design on MakerWorld, so literally all I had to do was send it to my printer, hit print, and a couple hours later, this awesome mount came out, and it's absolutely perfect. Now, another accessory that makes great use of the new Thunderbolt 5 port is this ridiculously fast SSD from a brand called OWC. This thing adds 4 terabytes of space to my Mac Mini, and it's almost as fast as Apple's internal storage, but a hell of a lot cheaper. We all know Apple internal storage is crazy expensive, so this is a fantastic alternative. You can leave it hooked up to your Mac permanently, either directly or using something like the Cal-Digit hub I just showed you, but of course you can also use this storage between devices, so you can unplug it from your Mac Mini, take it with you, and maybe use it on your MacBook if you have one, which makes this thing even more interesting as an alternative to the Apple storage. Now, dedicated SSDs like that one are great, but there are also other ways to supplement your storage that might be even more cost effective while adding some additional bells and whistles, like these SSD enclosures by a brand called Acasis. I honestly think SSD enclosures are a total cheat code because you can buy crazy fast storage like this one here, the Samsung 990 Pro. This particular one is 4 terabytes, but it's a lot cheaper than dedicated SSDs, but you're getting basically the same speeds and sometimes even better. These Acasis SSD enclosures basically turn the internal SSD into external SSDs that you can use between devices, and these things are honestly fantastic. And they've recently updated this TB501 model to a Pro model, which is not only considerably sleeker, as you can see, but it also has a button where you can adjust the fan speed, so you can keep your SSD nice and cool at all times, and that's important because when those things overheat, they do lose a little bit of speed. So the way it works is you just pop off this lid, you place that SSD inside of here, put it back on, and presto, you have an external SSD that you can take with you, and as you can see here, it's actually smaller than the dedicated one. And of course, another big advantage of these is that you can keep swapping these things out. So if in the future you need more storage, let's say you want 8 terabytes, this thing can handle it. Needless to say, these are also backwards compatible, so you can use it with a Thunderbolt 4 or even a Thunderbolt 3 connection as well. I'll put links to these things and everything else you see in the video in the description down below. Now guys, this next one is not at all a necessity, but it's a fun one for sure. If you've seen my initial reviews of these M4 Mac Minis, you've probably seen this 3D printed enclosure my friend printed for me. I didn't have a printer back then, and that one kind of made the Mac Mini look like a miniature Mac Pro. Because the Mac Mini is so small, when it came out, a lot of people on the internet went into creative mode, started designing all kinds of cases and mods for it, and that particular design was definitely very, very popular. So it's not at all surprising that some brands picked up on that and started creating more professional versions based on these printed designs. This one is made by Zera. It's called the Mac Forge Gen 2, and of course it does look a lot sleeker than a 3D printed model. It comes in silver and black. This one actually has the base model M4 inside, but of course it fits the Pro model as well, since the dimensions on these things are the exact same. Now I did say that I had an alternative display to show you guys, and this one is absolutely fantastic. Let me just grab it for you. It's great because this one is ultra portable. I mean, just look at this thing. It's really thin, it weighs almost nothing, and I'll be sure to throw some B-roll over this so you can actually see it working. I just wanted to show you how thin this is, which means you can take it on trips with you really, really easily. I personally use it with my MacBook Pro as well as a second monitor for those editing sessions in hotel rooms, you know. But if you don't own a MacBook, this actually turns your Mac Mini into a really great travel option. This is the ViewSonic VX1655 4K OLED. Beautiful display, actually really beautiful, weighs virtually nothing, and the best part is that it only requires a single USB-C cable to power it and to send the signal from the Mac Mini to the display. So there's no chunky power brick, nothing goes into the wall, just one cable from your computer to the monitor. A big shout out to my friend Iskrin from This Is E for recommending this to me. He did a really great video explaining all about this monitor, so if you want to find out a little more about this thing, definitely check out that video, because why not? If you know, you know. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this little list of accessories. Give the video a like if you did, and if you didn't, just hit dislike twice. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.